Hey everyone, what's up and welcome. Why do we struggle to find a game to play? This is a question that I feel like us as gamers have all too often. It's a scenario that should be relatively easy, right? Like, why is it so hard to just find a game to play? Why can't I pick one? Well, I actually think this is the biggest challenge us as gamers can run into. It's a big decision deciding what you want to invest your time into. But the funniest part about the biggest challenge for gamers is that we haven't even gotten to gaming yet. Games are something that we all know we do enjoy and something we love to invest our time into, but finding something to invest our time into is a whole nother dilemma that I feel like a lot of you guys who probably clicked on this video are struggling with. This is something I've struggled with. This is something I kind of run into on a daily basis. I've been making YouTube videos on video games for well over 5 years. I want to say like 6 years, maybe even almost 7 years now. It's kind of crazy how long it's been, but I've played a lot of different games. And if there's one thing I've noticed amongst my time choosing which game I want to play, whether that's for pleasure or whether that's to make content on, there's been one constant that I've come to notice, and it's that change hurts. Change is something I really want to dive deep into today. It's something that not only reflects on our video game conversations, but also reflects in our everyday lives. And I feel like if we can come to at least a better understanding of why change hurts, it'll help us find a game to play. Finding a game to play is very overwhelming. There are so many different genres of games. There are so many different games. And at the end of the day, I think it's just a matter of having fun, but there's no denying we do have fun in specific genres because we enjoy those genres. I personally play a lot of FPS games, and in the FPS scene, when going from one FPS to another, familiarity is something we deem important. When it comes to mechanics of games, we like to play things that are familiar because we heavily associate being good at the game with our enjoyment of the game. But this, once again, all ties back to change hurts. I think that the next time you go and decide to pick a game to play, you ask yourself if you're being open to the experience of trying something new, of trying something different, something that is going to change what you know. Earlier this year, I watched Arcane Season 2, and one of my favorite characters, Victor, he has a quote that he says by the end of the season. And this is a little bit of a spoiler, no context really to what he says, but I'm going to quote him. He says, "There is no prize to perfection, only an end to pursuit." And I think when we apply that quote to, how we go about finding games, it is very telling. A lot of times we like to master things. Us as humans, we find satisfaction in mastery, in perfection, only to fail to realize that none of the satisfaction or prize came from the accomplishment itself. It came from the pursuit. I feel like when we're looking for video games to play, we're constantly looking for things that are familiar to games that we've played in the past. Something I've been getting into is dark fantasy RPGs again, and I keep looking for games that are like Skyrim because Skyrim is what is familiar to me. And if I'm not switching up or changing, it won't be as painful of an experience because change is painful. Trying new things is painful. Having to learn all over again is painful. So many times we get off of school or we get out of work and we're looking for a bit of an escape, a place to let loose and have fun. And the thought of having to learn something when you're trying to enjoy yourself may not seem like the most appealing of tasks, but remind yourself when you were a kid and you got into the games you got into, were you actively seeking out something that you already knew how to play, or were you just looking for challenges, aka fun experiences? Just last week, the game Avowed came out, and I've been really enjoying that game. It is very comparable to Skyrim, at least according to the internet, because it is a fantasy RPG. And although a very dumbed down mechanics RPG, it's still a very fun game that does some new things that I try to keep myself open to in a sense of experiencing change, and I've come to actually enjoy the game a lot. There's a lot of exploration, there's a lot of adventure, there's excitement from finding new weapons and constantly putting together new builds. I think I've spent more hours than I can count on the internet just in a build maker, theorizing different things I could put together, and it's fun. It's stressful, it's challenge inducing, but it is fun. You guys are watching a bunch of Spectre Divide gameplay. This is a first-person shooter, and it's just come out with its season 1 launch. It's something I've always enjoyed. I've never played a tactical shooter before, but for what the game is in itself, I have a lot of fun. And I've noticed there's a lot of discourse within the Spectre Divide community, specifically the tac shooter community, because people know what they know and they like what they like. And change when it comes to new mechanics or different ways to play the same genre are not exactly widely accepted or enjoyed, but I have been enjoying them. And I think that speaks to the fact that I'm not comparing it to something I've played before. I'm strictly asking myself if I'm enjoying it in itself and enjoying the challenge it provides. And I do. And so that's why you guys are watching it, because I like this game. But yeah, I think change is hurtful. It's painful. Like I mentioned earlier, it's not only in video games, but in life. This is something I think everybody has struggled with at some point throughout their life. But when it comes to working out or really anything, going to a new school, starting a new class, immersing yourself into a new passion or hobby, there are so many things that kind of take you out of your routine, and for a while you almost feel uncomfortable. You feel uncomfortable until you get used to it. You start to learn a bit more, you get a bit more confidence, and you really feel like you're enjoying yourself. But the funny and almost messed up part of it all is that the thing that once made you uncomfortable is once again the thing that will make you uncomfortable once you have an absence of it. If you've ever been in a routine for long enough and suddenly life shakes you up, something happens and you are no longer able to do such thing due to time commitments or whatever it may be, you're now uncomfortable again. You're hurting due to the lack of routine. It's just the change that really, for some reason, us as humans do not like, whether it's for better or for worse. It actually makes me fairly upset. Sometimes I get really mad at just the concept of life, because I'm like, I don't get it. If something good happens to me, it brings about a bunch of emotion that I now have to regulate in a certain regard. Otherwise, it's going to bring negative effects. When you're experiencing high highs, you have to make sure you're humbling yourself with the lowest of lows. But when you're experiencing the lowest of lows, you must always remember to stay optimistic and remind yourself of the highs. You're always seeking balance. You're always seeking kind of a middle state. You're always trying to counteract and balance out the change that's happening in your life. So I guess it really is just as simple as saying, stop that. Stop avoiding change. Get yourself out of the mindset of avoiding new experiences, because for better or for worse, life has things to offer you for a reason, whether it's to unlearn things or learn new things, whether it's for good or for bad. They're all experiences and they're all change. And I think a lot of us can relate to the feeling of sometimes things just feel inevitable in life. No matter how much you try to run from them or run to them, they just do or don't work out at times. And I've started to believe that it's because they're lessons to be learned. They're actively calling out the things we struggle with and the things we need to change. And the quicker we start to embrace that, the quicker we will find a game to play. Be open to new games, be open to new mechanics, be open to new stories, be open to what's different from what you've seen before. Because like Victor said, there is no prize to perfection, only an end to pursue. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys find a game to play. I know it's never the funnest of tasks, but yeah, I hope you find one. Have fun, happy gaming, have a great weekend. That's when this video got posted. Keep up, stay up. Peace.